Hello and welcome to Perfect Channel. My name's John Anderson. Joining us today is our founder and CEO, Phil Bird. Welcome, Phil.
Thanks very much, John.
I think an appropriate jumping off point here is if you could explain to the viewers just what Perfect Channel is and what it does for our clients.
Sure, I'll start with kind of what value do we deliver, and then I'll go into kind of how we do that. So what we're looking to do is optimize pricing for marketplaces. So what we're trying to do is make sure supply intersects demand. That's what our business does. So set the right price to make sure both buyer and seller are happy and that transactions can happen. So that's what we do. Practically how we do that is there are three parts to the business. The first part is identifying, is there a problem to solve? And if there is, how big is that problem? So what effect can we have on your business, either as a buyer, a seller, or as a marketplace operator? We call that a diagnostic engagement. And what we do there is we take data from existing transactions you might have, you might not, it might be a new business, but you might have transactional data. And we'll take your transactional data, by which I mean it might be spot prices or fixed price transactions or however you currently do business. And we'll run some computational based simulations on that. So we'll say if you'd have done this differently, how much better would your pricing have been? Or how many more transactions might you have done? So the second thing is to take the knowledge of the business owner, marketplace owner, kind of really understand your business as well. So that's obviously key. You know your business very well already. You know what kind of switches and levers you think make a difference to your price. So it's to kind of learn that from you as well. And the third thing is to take our experience at Perfect Channel of implementing different types of marketplace and see if there's something which we think has worked somewhere else that's applicable to your problem. So you put those three things together, and what you should get out at the end is, okay, if you were to change how you do business, you would have a positive effect, and it would be roughly this sort of value you would get returned. And it creates a business case for the customer. It's not always the case that that value is going to be significant enough to create change. What we're looking to do is establish that there's something we can do to help and it's worth doing. So that's the first thing we do, our diagnostic engagement. The second thing is once we've understood the problem and what we might do to solve it, is we have a piece of technology called Perfect Exchange, which is a cloud-based business-to-business marketplace. And we configure that for you to operate your transactions and run your business or marketplace. So it's an online application where buyers and sellers meet, they find things that they're interested in, and they go through a process of buying or selling through an auction type approach or a fixed price or some kind of mechanism for establishing the price. So that's the second thing we do, and that's a kind of continuous thing. Once you set it up, you would run with it. And the third thing is we have another product called Perfect Insight. And what that's doing is looking at your marketplace and your transactions in real time and making sure that they remain efficient. So, you know, marketplaces change, participants change, demand and supply changes, things which are affecting the price, looking at that stuff and saying, okay, well in these conditions we need to either use a different type of transaction, we need to change the variables. So, you know, how many people do you need in a transaction to get the right price? Is it 3 people? Is it 5 people? Is it 2 people? So all those kind of things are taken into account and it creates actionable intelligence from that. That's more of an algorithmic solution than it is at the beginning where it's both algorithmic and consultative. And that's what we do, John.
You've been very cautious about using the word auction too often. I think I only counted it once or twice. Why is that? Is there a natural aversion to being associated with an auction manufacturer?
Auctions have been going since the start of time, really. It's a type of barter. And so what's new about it? You know, we need to capture what we're trying to do is something quite new and different and innovative. So you need to capture someone's attention enough to tell them what it is we do. So if you use the word auction, you're going to think of Christie's or eBay, and you're going to have a preconception of what that actually means. So you're going to see what we call an English standard forward auction. You're going to think, okay, well, you list something, and people come and they bid higher and higher, and then eventually when the time runs out, you've got a winner. But actually that's a very unsophisticated type of auction. It doesn't mean it's not effective, it's not sophisticated. And we have about 10 or 12 different types of auction or types of transaction, if you want to call them that, in our platform. So an English auction is one, which we've just covered. There's Japanese, Chinese, combinatorial clock auctions, supply and demand auctions, fair market value auctions. There's lots of different types. So it's really just trying to, you know, articulate what we do without being constrained by using the word auction.
Are there certain industry sectors, certain size companies that are more conducive to working with Perfect Channel?
When we look at kind of what impact we can have to your business, marketplace or transaction, depending if you're a buyer, seller or a marketplace operator, the bigger that type of transaction or that market, the more effect we can have. So I don't think there's any one area that couldn't necessarily benefit from us, but from our perspective we want to make the most impact. And so a vertical like commodities, where it's producing something physically from the ground or growing something or that kind of thing, that obviously has a lot of variability to supply and demand as well. And even at the moment there's a lot of volatility in the marketplace around that. So what is the price of copper, for example, or oil? In fact, that's probably another topical one at the moment. How do you know what that is? And so using something which kind of helps to drive out the price through competitive tension, is compliant and transparent because everyone can see what's going on and there's an information equality so everyone knows, is absolutely right for those kind of conditions in those markets. So our interest is in kind of the bigger commoditized markets and producers of things. But it does have applicability in all kinds of different markets and at different points in the supply chain. So building a car, for example, metal components, actually creating the car and then selling the car to someone else. There's quite a long supply chain there, and we can have effect at different points in that supply chain as well. And we do in some areas as well. So, there's not one good area. There's just things where we can have more or less impact on.
Thank you, Phil. This has been very interesting.
Thanks very much for the opportunity, John.